right? Let's move on and see how the time
100%
goes. Question number
wild-crafted sea
two
moss.
is also in the
Only the
name of
best,
the Honorable Member
'cause you
Sharon Duncan.
deserve nothing
23.
less. 8
Let's
butterfly.
go to 24. The Honorable Member, Mr. Ganesh Mahipal. You may ask your question of the Minister of Local Government and Regional Development.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Local Government Commission was established by way of order number 23 of 20. The report of the Local Government Commission was not laid in the National Assembly, and when will the reports be laid in the National Assembly?
Honorable Minister of Local Government and Regional Development, the Honorable Priya Manichan.
Thank you, sir. I believe the honorable member has an inherent answer in his own question. He says that this act was brought into force in 2017. Your Honor would be aware that I became minister in 2025. But the honorable member should best be able to answer for why in 2018, 2019, 2020, even the time that they stayed in office after the people asked them to leave, why the report was not laid in this house. What I can assure you, sir, is that any law that mandates the local government ministry to do or not do something will be complied under my leadership, and we will see reports laid in the house if, when, as they are directed by law when the commission comes into being.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Mahipal, follow up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, may I ask the Honorable Minister if her office is in receipt of these reports for the years that have gone by when the Commission was functioning up until April of 2024?
Honorable
And may
Minister,
I also add to
go
that,
ahead.
so may I also add to that and ask the Minister, in the absence of a local government commission, which expired in April of 2024, whose authority are these monies being spent under? We had in 2025 181 million, and in 2024 181 million, and in 2025 197 million dollars. Whose authority are those sums spent under? And if she's in possession of the reports up until 2024.
Honorable Minister.
So, Your Honor, there is a question that is on the order paper that seeks to inquire into when reports were laid or why they weren't laid. I believe I've answered that. I can't account for the honorable member's comprehension skills, but I have answered that question. The information he seeks to ask now is new information that needs to be put on another question.
Thank you, Minister. Question number 25 is
Mr.
for the
Speaker,
Honorable Member, Mr. Shana
Mr.
Femi.
Speaker, there's a
Honorable
follow-up,
Member,
please.
Miss Amanza Walton Desir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to follow on from what the honorable member asked and what the honorable minister responded. She spoke about the laws under her functioning. I wonder whether the honorable member could say to us, in keeping with the law that relates to the perfecting of the elections process for the chairmanship of Region 10, whether what, who has to,
I am dealing with supplementary questions to the issue of the reports.
the honorable member
Honorable,
made a statement,
Honorable
sir.
Member, I will now move on to
All right.
question number 25. In the name of the Honorable Member, Mr. Shana Femi Corlett, you may ask your question.
Can the Honorable Minister inform this House, given that Gladwin Samuels was substantively appointed as Director of Prisons in January. Do you hear me? Can the Honorable Minister inform this House, given that Gladwin Samuels was substantively appointed as Director of Prisons in January 2020, why was he reassigned to a different post on the 26th of April 2021, instead of being permitted to complete his term or formally relieved, and on what legal administrative basis was this reassignment made?
Mrs. Speaker, thank you. Mr. Samuels is currently engaged as advisor to the President on security matters, including the oversight of the prison.
Thank you, Minister. Question number 26 is in the name of the Honorable Member, Mr. Shana Femi Corlett. Again, it's for the Minister of Home Affairs. Honorable Member, you may ask your question.
I'm standing on Standing Order 2211. I hereby request that the notice paper number 56, which is on the order paper, be withdrawn.
Thank you. Question number 27. Honorable Member, Mr. Shana Femi Corlett.
Can the Honorable Minister inform this House of what measures are being taken to ensure that the lawful appointment of a substantive leadership in the near future in accordance with the Prison Act?
Honorable Minister of Home Affairs.
Mrs. Speaker, there's currently no vacancy um, for the leadership, substantive leadership of the prison service. But when and if that occurs, Mr. Speaker, we will be sure to appoint in accordance with the provisions of the Prison Act.
Thank you very much, Minister. Question 28 is in the name of the Honorable Member and Opposition Chief Whip, Tabitha Sarabo Hali. You may ask your question, and it's for the Minister of Parliamentary Affairs and Governance.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can the Minister inform this House why Guyana does not have a modern anti-corruption act? So I'll start with that. There's two parts to the question. And can the Minister also inform the House whether the government will bring to Parliament a comprehensive anti-corruption legislation that aligns with our United Nations Convention on Anti-Corruption Obligations?
I always do good things before I leave, sir. Mr. Speaker, thank you, Honourable Member, for your question. First of all, the Honourable Member seems to be unaware of what's going on in the country. The anti-corruption framework of Guyana has been tabled since 2022. It has been put on websites, Facebooks, it has been debated. In fact, we refer to it in press statements. It has been the subject of national, getting to that. Ease off, Ganesh, ease off. All right, calm down. Calm down. The issue of the anti-corruption framework states, if you read it, the number of laws of Guyana, constitutional framework, the number of laws, the number of agencies involved in anti-corruption in Guyana, what they do, and what the powers that they hold. So we have anti-corruption laws in Guyana. Now you're asking for a law, one law. But the way you draft the question is if there's no law. First of all, there are many, many pieces of laws, including in the 12th Parliament, we brought legislation to improve those laws, to reform those laws, including on anti-money laundering, on a number of areas that have come before this House. And of course, we will have in this, the 13th Parliament as well. So first of all, there is a framework. Secondly, you ask about a modern piece of legislation in accordance with the United Nations. Again, my dear MP, you seem to be lost. We have ratified the UN Convention, and that we've been reviewed up to recently, and that we're in compliance with many of the areas, as many countries are, and we're a country that has made progress, like other countries. There's not one country in the world that has been able to fulfill the requirements of the UN Convention Against Corruption. But we've made good progress. In relation to anti-corruption legislation, when we will bring it, in our manifesto on page 61, which I'm sure you haven't read, but anyway, let me just read that part to you. Over the next 5 years, remember we're in government for 5 years, not 3 months, not 6 months, 5 years. And so over the next 5 years, the PVC government will continue to ensure that the public procurement system is fair, transparent, competitive, efficient, and promotes value for money. By additional streamlining and simplification of the bidding process, we will further democratize access to government procurement opportunities, improve both the competitiveness and the fairness of the system, facilitate deepening of capacity on the supply side, and improve value for money in the government procurement transactions. In our ongoing efforts to combat corruption, we will strengthen laws where needed, establish an anti-corruption unit, use technology such as blockchain to add transparency, reduce bureaucracy, and improve efficiency, and fully enforce the access to information. So first of all, the impression given that there is none, there is, and it's working. That's what we're charging people with corruption in the courts with. That's why you have a number of cases in the courts, including to do with a certain offender that is in the court right now to do with corruption. And I find it highly ironic that a member of parliament of that side that knows about the case and is sitting next to the person that's involved in the case is raising an issue here about anti-corruption. Seriously, Mr. Speaker. I mean, there's a disconnect somewhere. There's a disconnect somewhere, psychologically maybe. So, Mr. Speaker, we are constantly reforming and renewing, and that the laws of Guyana are being used to deal with corruption. And I think that in my colleague Onej, Minister, in one of her presentations in the answers, your answers to the written answers, I believe she has a wonderful table there. And you should look at the table that Minister asked, because she was asked to present cases of senior officials. Please look at the table that Minister Onej Walden put in this house today, which shows a number of cases on corruption in which all of them are people from the opposition and took place in the last 5 to 6 years. So, Mr. Speaker, the court, the prosecutors are working, the agencies are working, and in fact, the system is right at the judiciary. Number of cases appealed, dismissed, appealed, and so on. And we have the big one we're all waiting for. Aren't we waiting for that one? I'm sure we are. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. I'll over the next one. Honourable Member, Ms. Halley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Speaker, the Honourable Minister, I think she either did not hear the question properly, because I asked her why it is that the Guyana does not have a modern anti-corruption act. I am not saying that none exist. So modern suggests that one exists, but what is required in 2026 is lacking based on what currently exists. Now, the second part of the question was when or whether the government will bring to Parliament a comprehensive anti-corruption legislation, and at what point. So just stating that it was in it's in the manifesto in the next 5 years doesn't answer at when exactly the government will be bringing
5 years.
this
What don't you
legislation.
understand about 5 years?
Okay, Honourable Minister, you get a chance to respond to the repeat, not a supplemental.
Countries that don't have anti-corruption act. Many countries don't have. Many countries have the issue spread around 10, 12, 15 type of laws. Guyana has over 15 laws relating to anti-corruption, right? And certainly as we go on, we will reform and modernize as required, whether the individual laws or to come to a total. But the Procurement Act of Guyana, when it was brought in 24, I want to tell you all something. When it was brought in 2004, it was the only Caribbean country that had a Procurement Act that separated the minister from the procurement process. And it was an act that was borrowed and adapted by all the CARICOM countries as a result. We must be proud of what we've done in legislation in terms of fighting corruption. And we must be strong in those who are brought before the courts. Those who are brought before the courts on those same laws, which you defend. You defend those people who have been corrupt. You come in here with two sides of your mouth. You're talking about two sides of your mouth. You can't say we don't want corruption, but when they're charged, you're backing them and protesting for them. You can't have two sides of the law.
Thank you
So
very
we
much,
stand
Minister.
strong.
And now we can move on to question number 29 in the name of the honorable member, Mr. Beta Sarabo Hali. You may ask the question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can the Honourable Minister say what measurable improvements have occurred as a result of the government's anti-corruption workshops, and what data exists publicly to support the stated conclusion, given all the exposés that we see of corruption happening right now?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the various Guyana's anti-corruption efforts just for the past year, Mr. Speaker, focused on, and these are the training programs, the National Coordinating Committee Against Corruption, digital transformation, institutional strengthening, enhancing collaboration between public and private sectors, public education, strengthening compliance and enforcement mechanisms, and international collaboration. We have brought a number of digital platforms which improve transparency and accountability. We have also, and I can list those out, but I'll leave that out for now. We've also had all-day workshops with the private sector and the government agencies to deal with fighting corruption and developing a culture of integrity. And so we've had discussions promoting integrity standards, audit ethics, and the role of AI in transparency. These are 30-odd private sector bodies that are working with us. The achievements, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there's always time for change. Mr. Speaker, we have been reviewed by the UN Convention Against Corruption, our second review. We have done well, and the document will be published soon. In terms of, well, you want to be specific, Mr. Speaker. I am going to come to that question just now, Mr. Whatever you are, and deal with it. But the issue of that question hasn't come up yet. Mr. Speaker, Guyana and our country and our government has ratified international conventions. Not all countries in the region have ratified those conventions. We have. And by doing so, we are legally bound to work towards implementing them incrementally. There is no country in the world, I repeat, that has been able to meet every benchmark of the UN Convention Against Corruption or the Inter-American Convention Against Corruption. Those are treaties we have committed ourselves and are bound legally to respond to and to work towards. And so we have showed progress in terms of the agencies that report on these. The Public Service Commission, the Integrity Commission, the Procurement Body, for example, the FIU, SOCU, for example. There are a number of agencies. We are recognized. Well, you don't read the report. You see, the problem with you, I love reports. I produce 300-page reports at a whim. You don't read them. That's the problem. But, Mr. Speaker, the question about what I mean by well, if our colleagues on the other side would take the time to go into the Inter-American Convention Against Corruption site, which is called MESASIC, Google it, You will see Guyana's report. First of all, its annual report, which has to give every year, and also, the issue of, and also our review. So, Mr. Speaker, there are publicly available documents that show and assess Guyana's progress, both of the Inter-American Commission against Corruption and the UN Convention Against Corruption. And by the way, are we talking about culture of integrity and serving as public officers? Please, some of you answer why you didn't make your declarations to the Integrity Commission. Why? Are you above the law? Are some of you above the law? Are some of you above the law? Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, forgive me, I've been around for a while. I find this highly amusing. This is so amusing. We are governed by law. All of us are MPs are governed by law. We're the lawmakers and we're the law upholders of this country. That's what the people of Guyana expect us to be. And when we enter this house as MPs, we have to declare our public declarations of our assets. Why are some members of this house not declaring to the Integrity Commission and coming here to ask about anti-corruption and corruption? Seriously, Mr. Speaker, we are bound by the treaties that we have signed. The evaluation of Guyana at the Caribbean, Mr. Speaker, I'm having difficulty shouting above him. Seriously, I'd like to ask your protection. I cannot shout above Mr. Duncan. I don't have the capacity.
Honorable members,
to shout
please
above
allow
him.
the Honorable Minister
If he wants to
to
ask a
be
question,
heard.
let him ask a question.
I am not.
Ask more questions. Mr. Speaker, we are bound by treaties. We are bound by other mechanisms, such as the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force. And some of you who are not in this house, and some who are, would remember what happened in 2009, what the opposition did to this government and this country. But, Mr. Speaker, we're reporting, and our progress is noted in terms of the improvements of collaboration, in the improvements of the standards and the protocols, in the issues of how we're bringing prosecutions to the court and investigations. These are all mechanisms. When you look at the Auditor General's report, the reduction in the number of issues that have been raised in them regarding follow-up and implementation of the recommendations of the Auditor General. The Integrity Commission has published the names, and we're bringing, by the way, as you're asking about anti-corruption laws and not law, is that we're bringing an amended version of the Integrity Commission Act to strengthen it and to make it more enforceable. Mr. Speaker, we have one of the importance, Mr. Speaker, I believe that we have, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I would believe that we have been making good progress. As we say in Guyana, in Creole, one dati build down. We have had to do one at a time to build out the capacity of the human resources of each agency, to develop collaboration between the agencies, to be able to bring strong investigations and prosecutions. And our position on asset forfeiture has been recognized by the UN CAC, for example, UN Convention Against Corruption. Our best practices in regards to the Auditor General's Office, the Public Service Commission, for example, are recognized by the Inter-American Commission Against. All I ask you to, if you don't believe me, it's fine. Go on the sites and read the documents that are put out by these agencies in relation to Guyana's performance at these levels. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Halley, question 30 is also in your name.
Thank you. Just
You
a
want to
quick
go again?
follow-up.
You trusting
Can
me?
the Honorable Minister state if she can guide me to any data that exists publicly
to support the conclusion that the anti-corruption workshops that have been going on has actually made a positive impact on anti-corruption in Guyana.
Mr. Speaker,
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, the PSC was invited to one of the workshops. In fact, Mr. Maipal came. Mr. Maipal came. I don't know why he doesn't give you an idea of how well it went. But Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, there is no data. You're asking for numbers, data, percentage. We don't have that because we've only started that in the last 2 years, 3 years. So what we have are indicators. We have indicators. One, as I said, we can measure the collaboration. We can measure between the Mr. Speaker, I'm having trouble with my throat. I'm asking for some protection. Mr. Speaker, if we deal with indicators, not data, indicators, right? The indicators, the number of agencies that are fighting anti-corruption, that are collaborating more than, say, 5 years ago, that percentage has gone up radically. If we look at the the MOUs that have been signed between the different agencies to collaborate with data exchange, information exchange, confidential exchange, that has also been tripled in the last 2 years. If you look at the issue of the number of protocols and guidelines and have been put in place, again, these agencies have increased the number of those things within the last 3-4 years. So I don't have that kind of data you're asking for. I'm being honest, I don't have it. But I'm saying that the indicators that they are moving forward is there. And so we have also, Mr. Speaker, we have also been able to develop a collaboration that is very important. Before, all the agencies involved in anti-corruption were running on a silo by themselves. We now have, if you listen, you might learn, Ms. Primus, and that is that's fine with me, I don't care. It doesn't bother me, madam. Um, but Mr. Speaker, the issue of the anti-corruption agencies that have now developed a capacity that they didn't have before, or it was undeveloped before. Ms. Tabitha Sarabohali, you were in government for a very short period of time. But however, you must be sensitive and aware that it takes time to change culture, to change behavior. I'm sure you're aware of that. Having been in the public service yourself, having been the Minister of Public Service yourself. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, we can show data information that shows that the agencies of the Anti-Money Laundering Committee, the National Coordinating Committee, the CFATF Evaluation Committee, for example, the FIU, the SOKU, Auditor General, GRA, for example, Integrity Commission, procurement bodies are all doing what they're supposed to do. And we're strengthening, developing database to allow them to function even more efficiently and effectively. And that is progress compared to what it was before. So I've honestly said to you, I don't have data, I don't have percentage, I don't have stats. What I have is indicators that show that there has been change. And I'm very proud of that change. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Halley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, one final follow-up on this question based on what the Minister just indicated about the agencies and so that are in existence and talking about what happened 5 years ago. I would just like the Minister to state whether or not there is any intention to set up an independent body for corruption investigation and asset recovery as SARA that was in existence that you closed down when you come into government.
Honorable Minister.
I didn't hear the last part.
I'm asking, based on your discussion just now, what your statements about the agencies that are in existence, we can have a conversation about whether the laws that guide those agencies have enough strength to actually do what is required, given the amount of corruption that exists. So I'm asking if the Minister can say whether they intend to set up an independent body for corruption investigations and asset recovery as SARO existed and you guys closed down in 2020.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I believe I answered that question in the first question to do with an anti-corruption body. She's trying to link now with SARA. SARA was created by law. It spent hundreds of millions of dollars, did not bring one case, one investigation in the period under the Granger administration, and it was closed down. So SARA is not a good model, Mr. Beta Sabaro Hali, to use. And so you had 5 years, comrades, 5 years. So, Mr. Speaker, when the time comes and when we want to create an anti-corruption unit, we will use the best practices that we know in other countries, in our own experience, to develop that. But right now, the model of SARA and the experience of SARA, and I think you should remember, one of the issues of SARA is not only time. What you did with SARA is that you made the head of SARA have powers more than the Commissioner of Police, the immigration officer, the DPP, for example, the Minister of Finance. That's what, read the law. That's what you brought in. You brought in a super body that the chief executive officer had more powers than constitutionally appointed people. You did that. That's a model we will look. That's a model we look at. Seriously. And $120 million, if my memory reminds me, $120 million for rental for the SARA building, in which it produced zero, not one investigation in 5 years, not one. And you proudly come here to talk about it as a model? Shame, 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 shame. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable members, some of our students have to leave. They have to go as far as Berbice and Linden. Those who may have to leave can leave. We thank you for coming. If you want to stay, we'll be happy to have you. We have 10 minutes remaining, and let's return to the questions posed by the Honorable Member, Mr. Duncan. Let us start with question number 21. Honorable Member, Mr. Duncan, and that is for the Honorable Minister of Health.
Mr. Speaker, you're not going to my third question, then we can complete it. In defense of Sarabo.
Let's see how the time comes.
A point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, you're on the floor, Mr. Duncan.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I thought we had a rule in the House when people aren't present, we don't, impugn the character of those things.
Will ask the question or you're foregoing?
Mr. Speaker, please allow me. Please allow me.
To ask your question, yes.
For the record.
No.
Standing order 41, Mr. Speaker. Imputation. I was a little late for the National Assembly, and I'm not one to make very light of or to put my own family matters in the public.
Standing order, sir. You're saying the standing. Who impugned on you? I'm not too sure. You have to ask question number 21. Your time is running. You have question number 22 if you can't remember 21.
Mr. Speaker, if you were here for jokes, I am not.
Honorable member, please. I've been asking you for 4 minutes to ask
And
question
Mr. Speaker,
21.
I've been waiting for the National Assembly to convene for 3 months.
Honorable member, please have your seat. Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Speaker,
Statements by ministers,
Mr. Speaker,
including policy
Sherlock, hold on
statements.
1 second.
can I ask
Yes,
my final
yes,
question?
sorry, yes, go
Thank
ahead.
you.
Statements by ministers.
Sorry, Sherlock, we had question 30. I didn't put.
Thank you. Question 30. Could the Honorable Minister inform the House why Guyana continues to rank poorly on Transparency International's Corruption Perception Index and the World Bank's corruption indicators, despite numerous workshops and public pronouncements to address these issues?
Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Duncan.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. Thank you for the question, MP, Member of Parliament. On the question itself, there are two things I want to raise initially. One is that your comment about the World Bank's corruption indicators, we couldn't find any of those. What the World Bank Group has is a group that does some indicators on government efficiency, including control of corruption. However, the World Bank says, as a note in that same site, it makes it very clear, the World Bank Country Policy and Institutional Assessment, where they have hired a group that does the assessments. The World Bank has a note, and I ask you to keep that in mind, that the ratings are the product of staff judgment and do not necessarily reflect the views of the World Bank's board of executive directors or the governments they represent. So there's a distinction I think you need to be careful with, because this is not what you may be searching for. I don't know what you've searched for and found, but that is not the World Bank's corruption indicators as far as I understand it. On the Transparency International Corruption Perception Index, the last report came out for the year 2024. And you may recall, you may not, that we put out a long press statement regarding understanding the Corruption Perception Index, context, methodology, and misconception. And to do that, and which is done from a scientific point of view. We have said in this House, probably from 1999-20, 2000, right up to even other debates in the 12th Parliament and now, that the Transparency International has a non-empirical perception-based assessment. And so this is perception-based. What it does is that it selects in every country, based on population, the number of people that will ask to comment, and their perception is subjective views, that is, on what is going on in the country. And there's specific things to do with, say, corruption, government efficiency, etc. It is based on the population. It might be 2 people, it might be 1 person, it might be 5 people. Over the years, yes, that's really, and read up your GI. On Guyana, Mr. Speaker, the Transparency International uses a perception indicator. Perception. And it admits in its documents that the CPI, that is the Corruption Perception Index, does not measure actual corruption levels. As a quote from it. Instead, it reflects perceptions. And it is fundamentally important to note that these perceptions are influenced by a range of subjective factors, including traditional social media narratives, socioeconomic and global trends. So that the subjective assessments, and that is why we say we do not uphold the Transparency International. And many countries don't, because they know it is perception-based, no data, no information, and based on what they pick up from the 2 people who may be the people they ask every year. And the 2, I said made it very clear, based on population, it could be 1, 2, or 5. United States, the whole United States, the perception indicators for the United States is 12 people. 12 people decide how the United States does in the perception index. And so these persons are never made public, they're unknown, they have their own views. And so, Mr. Speaker, one of the comments I want to draw, because I think this is a house and it's political, when Maya Motley as Prime Minister said, and I want you to note this, because you're young and you're the future of Guyana, all of you here, that when you look at the PCI, when you look at the Transparency International, it receives funding from 14 countries, main countries. That's how it's able to operate. And all of the 14 countries receive rankings of between 60 and 90. And coincidentally, these countries that receive ranking of between 60 and 90, which is the highest scores, are all from the global north. None from the global south, not one. And that one of the principles of corruption is conflict of interest. Conflict of interest. And therefore, the issue of how is it that with TI, the countries that do well all the time are the same countries funding TI, and the countries that do poorly are the global south countries, such as Guyana, Africa, India, Pakistan, all of those. Does that bother you as politicians? It doesn't bother you as politicians? Or is it only to use? Oh, here's data. Make the government look bad. Use this data. Throw it at the government, make the government look bad. But you're not thinking. And I want a quote from Maya Motley, because Maya Motley is a woman I have great respect for, and she's brave and she's tough. And so, this is what Maya Motley said in 2025. Why is it that every time we talk about countries from the South, the first allegation is corruption? The USA, UK, and Europe are riddled with corruption, but nobody says that they're not capable of achieving their objectives. But they say that about the South, those of us in the South. And so, Mr. Speaker, the issue of the perception index. I'm answering her question. You have a question, you ask it after. Mr. Speaker, TI is perception. And let me give an example of perception. Let me give you how dangerous perception is. Someone could come to you, let's say Odessa Primus. Someone could come to Odessa Primus and ask her, what's your view on this? Odessa Primus gives her view on it. And it becomes now a data set for internationally on whatever issue she took up, LGBTQI, or for example, praying or religion or whatever. That is what perception is about. It's what you believe, what you think. It's not what is fact. It's not what is data. And so, Mr. Speaker, that's number one issue. The issue is that, Mr. Speaker, I'm not interested. I'm really not interested. Because I've lived in those countries. I know the corruption there too. So, Mr. Speaker, the issue of how are we addressing the issues in the confines of Guyana? What is it we want? In the confines of Guyana, what is it we want? Do we want a country that is making efforts? I'll leave out the subjective aspect of good efforts, progress, and so on. That is making efforts to improve the efficiency, transparency, and accountability of our systems and of our agencies. And that is governed by law, constitution, protocols, audits, acts, standards. That a country is making those efforts versus what is the political football that we would like to shame our country and make our country look bad. Why is that? Why are we here in parliamentarians if all we want to do is make Guyana look like a banana republic or something? Why do we want to do that? Mr. Speaker, the problem with the MPs, the problem with the members of parliament, the prevalence on the members of the parliament on the other side are they're not reading, they're not looking up stuff, they're just looking cherry picking as to what makes Guyana look bad and what makes the government look bad. Mr. Speaker, the perception corruption index is not one that Guyana uses and most countries will not use. They're used politically. The TI and the TI itself has said, international has said, that it recognizes that this is used politically in many parts of the world. That's not their intention. The intention was to guide and to have a perception index. They've never gone into a database or empirically based assessment of countries. That's where the UN Convention Against Corruption, the Inter-American Convention on Corruption, the Lima Commitment, the UN Declaration on Corruption, and for example, the Caribbean and Financial Action Task Force, and the EITI Guyana. These are all treaties that we have committed to, that we are bound to report to, and we do report to, and those reports are available, publicly available. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable members, this exhausts the time for questions or questions. I first want to remind the members of the Committee of Selection that immediately at the adjournment of this sitting, we meet to nominate the members, the 13 committees that we have. Uh, Mr. Clerk?
statements by ministers, including policy statements.
Honorable Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Leader of the Opposition, even though he's not in the House, fellow members of the House of Assembly, members of the Diplomatic Corps, members of the media, visitors, statement by the Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, Guyana's case against Venezuela in the International Court of Justice, the world's highest international judicial tribunal, has now been fully submitted. The submissions of both parties presented over the course of the past 8 years concluded on May 11 with the completion of the oral hearings in The Hague. All that remains now is for the court itself to deliberate, draft its final judgment, and issue it in a public session. As is customary, no date for that session has yet been set. The court will give the parties and the public 2 weeks' notice of the scheduling of the session. Normally, it takes 6 and 8 months from the close of the oral hearings to the issuance of the final judgment. If this holds true in our case, we can expect the judgment sometime between November 2026 and January 2027. Whatever the court decides, it will be legally binding on both Guyana and Venezuela. Both states will be obligated to accept and comply with it under the explicit terms of the United Nations Charter and the Statute of the International Court of Justice, to which they have both subscribed. The very fact that this case reached the ICJ and that the written and oral phases of the proceedings were carried out to their completions represents a triumph for the rule of law and the rules-based international order. It has always been Guyana's formally held position that disputes between states must be resolved peacefully, finally, and in conformity with international law. They must not be allowed to fester indefinitely. They must never be resolved by threat or use of military force. While we cannot know with certainty how the court will rule, Guyana is confident. In fact, after the oral hearings last month, Guyana is more confident than ever that the court will uphold the legal validity of the 1899 arbitral award and the finality and permanence of the international boundary between Guyana and Venezuela that the entire world, with the exception of Venezuela, recognizes, and that it will order Venezuela not to offend, seize, annex, or trespass any Guyanese territory as defined by the 1899 arbitral award, or to threaten any such transgressions against Guyana. In short, we expect to be fully victorious in this historic and for Guyana existential case. Guyana is very proud of the presentations it made at the recently concluded oral hearings. It believes that its arguments were compelling and convincing. And that they showed the lack of merit in Venezuela's case, both on the facts and on the law. Guyana is grateful to its representatives in these proceedings, headed by Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Honorable Hugh Todd, Minister of Legal Affairs and Attorney General, Honorable Anil Nandalal, SC, and former Minister of Foreign Affairs, Carl Greenidge, as agent. When the court issues its judgment, it will end the controversy that arose in 1962, when Venezuela, for the first time, challenged the lawfulness of the 1899 arbitral award and the international boundary it established, after accepting and respecting and complying with the award and the boundary without protest for 63 years. The oral hearings established that Venezuela made this very belated protest precisely at the time Guyana was nearing its independence. British troops would be departing, and Venezuela would have a significant military advantage with which to press its unfounded claim to nearly 3/4 of Guyana's territory. The very claim that the tribunal of 5 preeminent arbitrators unanimously rejected in 1899. Before departing Guyana in 1966, the British took pains to negotiate an agreement with Venezuela to assure that its challenge to the validity of the 1899 arbitral award would be resolved peacefully. The Geneva Agreement of 1966, to which Guyana became a party upon its independence that year, provided for a 4-year period of bilateral negotiations to resolve this dispute. These negotiations were unsuccessful. In the circumstances, the Geneva Agreement further provided that if Guyana and Venezuela would be unable to agree on another means of dispute settlement, the Secretary General of the United Nations would choose the proper means for final settlement of the controversy, with the power to choose new means if any prior means that he selected failed to achieve a resolution. In January 2018, after more than 50 years passed without a settlement, including a prolonged good offices process supervised by the Secretary General, Secretary General Antonio Guterres decided that the controversy should be settled by the International Court of Justice. His decision was binding on the 2 parties. In October, Guyana then initiated the proceedings in the ICJ 6. Guyana then initiated the proceedings in the ICJ in March 2018. Venezuela responded by challenging the court's jurisdiction to resolve the controversy, claiming that the Geneva Agreement did not authorize settlement by the ICJ. After considering the arguments of the two parties, the court issued a judgment in December 2020 in which it ruled that it had jurisdiction under the Geneva Agreement, and the Secretary General's decision to determine the legal validity of the 1899 arbitral award, as well as the international boundary between Guyana and Venezuela, and that its decision would be binding on both parties. Following this, Guyana again tried to terminate. Venezuela again tried to terminate the proceedings by raising an objection to the propriety of judicial resolution in the absence of the United Kingdom, which was not a party to the case. The court rejected Venezuela's objection in its judgment of 6 April 2023. In October 2023, Venezuela announced that it would hold a national referendum in December 2023, seeking popular approval of its plans to reject the jurisdiction of the ICJ and incorporate Guyana's entire Essequibo region into Venezuela as the new Venezuelan state of Guyana Essequibo. Guyana immediately petitioned the court for provisional measures prohibiting Venezuela from taking any such actions, regardless of the outcome of its referendum. In response, the court ruled unanimously that, pending a final decision in the case, the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela shall refrain from taking any action which would modify the situation that currently prevails in the territory in dispute, whereby the Cooperative Republic of Guyana administers and exercises control over that area. In early 2025, Venezuela announced plans to hold elections in its so-called Guyana Essequibo state, including within Guyana's Essequibo region. Guyana again requested that the court issue provisional measures prohibiting Venezuela from transgressing its territory. And again, the court responded favorably to Guyana's requests by issuing the following order on the 1st of May, 2025. And I read, pending a final decision in the case, the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela shall refrain from conducting elections or preparing to conduct elections in the territory in dispute, which the Cooperative Republic of Guyana currently administers and over which it exercises control. Now that the oral hearings have been concluded, we will await the court's final judgment on the merits with patience, dignity, and optimism, as His Excellency, the President of Guyana, has said. And we will continue to address Venezuela in a spirit of peace, cooperation and friendship, and as sovereign equals. We will respect Venezuela's sovereignty, as we have always done, and insist that Venezuela refrain from trespassing on or threatening Guyana's sovereignty. And when the final judgment is issued, we will insist that it be respected and fully complied with, as international law requires. This is the only way forward for our two states toward a secure, just, and lasting peace, and enduring friendship, and a mutually prosperous future for both our peoples. End of statement. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Prime Minister. Mr. Clerk.
Personal explanations. Request for leave to move the adjournment of the National Assembly on definite matters of urgent public importance. Motions relating to the business or sittings of the National Assembly and moved by a minister. Introduction of bills.
Honorable Senior Minister in the Office of the President with responsibility for finance, Dr. Ashni Kumar Singh.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I rise, sir, to present to this honorable House the Guyana Development Bank Bill 2026, Bill number 5 of 2026, a bill intituled An Act to Establish the Guyana Development Bank to provide financing and support for small and medium-sized enterprises in Guyana and for connected matters thereto. And I move that the bill be read the first time.
Thank you, Minister. Let the bill be read the first time.
Guyana Development Bank Bill 2026, Bill number 5 of 2026.
Honorable Minister of Human Services and Social Security.
Good afternoon, everyone. Mr. Speaker, I rise and I present to the Assembly the Sexual Offences Amendment Bill 2026, Bill number 6 of 2026, a bill intituled An Act to Amend the Sexual Offences Act, and I move that the bill be read the first time.
Thank you, Honorable Minister Dr. Prasad. Let the bill be read the first time.
Sexual Offences Amendment Bill 2026, Bill number 6 of 2026.
Honorable Minister of Tourism, Industry and Commerce.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to present to the Assembly Hire Purchase Amendment Bill 2026, Bill number 7 of 2026, a bill intituled An Act to Amend the Hire Purchase Act. And I move that the bill be read the first time.
Thank you, Minister Rodriguez. Let the bill be read the first time.
Hire Purchase Amendment Bill 2026, Bill number 7 of 2026.
Honorable Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, I present to the Assembly Depreciating Property Sale Order Bill, Bill number 8 of 2026, a bill intituled An Act to Provide for the Sale of Depreciating Property and for Connected Matters, and I move that the bill be read for the first time.
Thank you, Honorable Minister Nandlal. Let the bill be read the first time.
Depreciating Property Sale Order Bill, Bill number 8 of 2026.
Honorable Minister of Tourism, Industry and Commerce.
Mr. Speaker, I present to the Assembly Security Interests in Movable Property Amendment and Validation Bill 2026, Bill number 9 of 2026, a bill intituled an act to amend the Security Interests in Movable Property Act 2024 to provide for the registration of security interests in movable property to be done manually if electronic registration is for any reason not possible, and to extend the transitional period prescribed by the Act, and to validate all manual registration of security interests in movable property done when the electronic registry was not operational. All registration done after the validation period had expired, and all acts and things done in relation to those registration. And I move that the bill be read the first time.
Thank you, Minister Rodriguez. Let the bill be read the first time.
Security Interest in Movable Property Amendment and Validation Bill 2026, Bill number 9 of 2026.
Honorable Senior Minister in the Office of the President with responsibility for finance.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I present to this honorable House the former President's Benefits and Other Facilities Bill, Bill number 10 of 2026, a bill intituled an act to provide for benefits and other facilities for former presidents. And I move that the bill be read the first time.
Thank you. Minister Singh, let the bill be read the first time.
Former President's Benefits and Other Facilities Bill 2026, Bill number 10 of 2026.
Thank you, honorable members. I think this concludes our business.
Mr. Speaker, may
Honorable member, Mr. Maipol.
thank you, sir, to crave my indulgence. We have received the 5 bills that circulated, except the last one that was spoken of. That was read the first time. The former president benefits and other amenities bill 2026. We are not in receipt of that, sir.
Sure. It will be.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, I'm being informed that it was circulated, and if any member doesn't have a copy, we have copies available. Yes. Honorable members, I was saying this conclude our business for today, but before we go, let us wish our deputy clerk, Miss Armenia Gilgis, a very, very happy birthday. Honorable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I ask that we adjourn the House of Assembly to a date and a time to be decided on.
Honorable members, we stand adjourned to a date to be fixed.
8 Butterfly Black Seed, loaded with antioxidants and essential nutrients for your body's needs. Breathe better, feel better, live healthier. All the benefits of black seed oil without the taste. 8 Butterfly Black Seed Capsule.
Study hard, work hard, play harder. Verb, nerve, and muscle power. Keep thinking and moving at any age. Verb, nerve, and muscle power.
There could never be a more urgent moment than now for nations to demonstrate ambition in confronting the global crisis. Climate change is here. We see it in rising sea levels. We witness it in the raging storms that leads to devastating floods and landslides. We experience it through prolonged seasons of drought and raging forest fires. Nature is sending a message to humanity. The question is whether humanity is listening enough. Guyana is listening, and Guyana is acting. For decades, our country has kept more than 80% of its landmass on the forests. These forests are Guyana's green treasure. They provide an invaluable service to humanity. They're part of the lungs of the earth. They absorb carbon. They protect biodiversity. They sustain life. Guyana continues to preserve its protected areas. In a world where water scarcity is becoming a growing threat, we also insist on safeguarding our priceless freshwater resources. Guyana has launched the Global Biodiversity Alliance, aimed at strengthening international cooperation in protecting the world's biodiversity. We recognize that species disappear, humanity loses part of its future. Guyana, a small state, is providing leadership, an example in the global fight to protect the world's environment. Through its low carbon development strategy, Guyana has demonstrated that development and environment responsibility can go hand in hand. Through this strategy, Guyana proves that a nation can grow while protecting nature. As Guyana celebrates the 60th anniversary of its independence, it proudly affirms its sovereignty over its natural resources. But sovereignty also brings responsibility. Guyana is committed to deploying these resources in service of the greatest existential threat of our time, climate change. That responsibility cannot be postponed to another generation or deferred to another decade. The decision we make today will determine the future security, prosperity, and survival of our people. And that is why World Environment Day 2026 must become a call to urgency. The planet cannot wait. The time for hesitation has passed. The time to act is now. So I call upon all in the global community, come together, act together as we confront this existential threat to our planet and humanity. Happy World Environment Day 2026. Guyana joins with the rest of the world
One love, Delta 9 travelers. Who's in the chat with me? Who is in the chat right now? I'm telling you, are we going to catch up with what's going on with the 7-year-old? Because listen, we got some updates coming in on that. We got some updates coming in on that. We're more than likely going to have to continue it in this live. Can you hear me and hear me clearly, Delta 9 travelers? Please and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, in the chat. If you can hear me and hear me clearly, drop a 9 for me so that I know that I'm coming through clearly on your side of the globe through the microphones. All right? And let's get some updates because I got some updates lined up. I got some updates lined up, everything that's going on with the 7-year-old and his grandmother, right? Well, after we did the live this morning, the Honorable Minister was on the scene.
And we all woke up to the horrific murder of a child. And as a country, we take that very seriously. I'm on my way to meet the family and to offer my support and comfort. The Child Protection Agency has already been on the ground from Region 3, and I extend my sincere condolences to the family. It's heartbreaking, it's a little child. And you know, it really brings home to everyone how important it is to look out for children. This one was unprecedented. Of course, no one could predict it. And it has left a grandmother also hurt and injured. And we will do everything to provide that support to that family at this very, very difficult, challenging time. And as I say this, it's also very important for me to tell you that we have been paying attention to a number of cases where we see children being abused in various disease situations in the last couple of days, last few weeks, and we have intervened in all of them. And what is of concern to me is that many parents feel that discipline is something that involves abuse. And I want to say no, discipline should not involve abuse. There are many ways of having the opportunity to discipline your child, and one of those ways is speaking to them. One of those ways, too, if you can't deal with it and you get angry and you get upset and you know that you're going to physically explode on that child. And now I know that sometimes children are difficult and sometimes children really trigger you. But the point is, we have support at the Ministry of Human Services. Reach out to us before it gets there. Reach out to us, bring the child. We have the Child Protection Agency, and we have many units and departments to assist you with that. We also have the Family Enhancement Services.
One love, Delta 9 travelers. 1 second. 1 second for me. I feel like if I'm not doing this particular segment of the live justice, because we just had the entire parliamentary presentation that I just covered, right? And that in itself is 1+ hours. So I'm gonna go off of comments in the chat. If I get 20 comments in the chat right now, I'm gonna put up the information from this live. No, I'm gonna need, yeah, at least 20 persons got to at least 20 persons gotta drop a 9 in the comment section so that I'm gonna know that all right. Persons wanna see this now, or I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna do this live here. So come in later this evening, like around 6:30, which is our usual time when we just got our live presentation, because I already got this live set up. We got the MPs that had a sit down with Adriel's mom. Adriel is the 7-year-old young boy that was on a live earlier today. And then we got another set of information coming in, because guess what? The minister also had a conversation with the father. So we got headlines coming in from the parents and other loved ones, and public spirited citizens as well, giving their views and a number of other updates. So if I get 29s in the comment section right now, then guess what? I'm going to do this presentation right now. And then I'll just cut out that piece and put it back up as a pre-recorded. But if not, I'll just end this live. Let this be just the parliament, right? And then I'll come back later and we'll do a live presentation with these headlines and whatever other updates connecting to it and other headlines as well, like we would usually do it, you know, on a 6:30 live presentation right here on Delta 9 Media on a Friday afternoon. So I'm gonna give it one more minute at 4:02, or let me say 2 more minutes at 4:03, 4:04. I'm gonna be counting the comments, and if I see 9 different names with nines, not nine, what's it? 20 different names with nines, then I'm gonna know, all right, good. Do this presentation because it's gonna take us at least an hour and a half to 2 hours to complete this presentation because there's a number of interviews that they had updating us with all the information coming in with Adriel, rising power to his everlasting energy, and condolences to his family and all his loved ones, right? And we got 2 more minutes to go. Who's gonna drop the nines in the comment section? Who are the travelers with me? I still see we got almost 150 persons live with us. If they don't have 20 persons that want to see this live right now, then I'm gonna bring this live back at 6:30, which is our usual time, and we're gonna get a lot of the frequent travelers around that time too, given that it's the usual flight time. All right. So it seems like we will be doing a 6:30 live in accordance with the votes because I see the numbers going down and I don't see the votes coming in. That means persons want to see an independent live for this. So we'll come back and we'll do an independent live at 6:30. I'm going to put it up from now so that travelers are going to know that we will be live around that time. We got 1 more minute and I don't see 10 votes in yet. 1, 2, 3, 4 votes, 5 votes. Well, one person voted twice. All right. So we got 1, 2, 3 votes, right? 3 out of 20. 3 out of 20. If we get 20 votes right now, 20 votes, 20 votes, and I will do this live presentation that we're seeing on the screen and connect it to this live that we did just now for Parliament. If not, if I don't get 20 votes, by dropping a 9 in the comment section, then I will do this live separately at 6:30 p.m., which is our usual flight time. All right, all right. We are counting down to that time. Big up to all the frequent travelers that are part of the live. Big up to everybody that came in, drop comments in the comment section. And guess what? We got some fire headlines that we definitely want to update you and everyone else with. So make sure that you catch us at 6:30 p.m. today. We will be having a live presentation right here on Delta 9 Media. So if you're not subscribed, make sure you're subscribed already. We got all the updates and the updates that are going to be rolling in about Adriel, everything coming from the mother. We're going to hear from the father. We're going to hear from other loved ones and other public spirited citizens as well, giving their views upon everything that's going on right now. If you're not updated as yet, 7-year-old Adriel was taken out this morning, and his grandmother is still nursing wounds from the same situation. A terrible, terrible situation right now on the ground. And we will be back at 6:30 p.m. right here on Delta 9 Media, live updating us with all of this very important, very, very much interesting details to all of these headlines. All right. Thanks to everyone once again for being a part of the live. And I will see you very soon and very shortly.